All right. Thanks, guys, for tuning in tonight. It's our April 8th call, and I cannot believe this year is flying by as fast as it is, but we have some really cool things going on right now, and actually as part of my presentation, I'm going to try to share my screen and show you guys some of the things that are coming up this month, and hopefully this makes it a little bit easier for you. I have posted a calendar in the team page, and that is, of course, something that you guys can reference if you have questions. If you're in the Everyone Matters group, a lot of this information is in there as well. So basically for challenge groups, we had our April Health Bet group started on April 1st. We are going to start around 2 of this and probably a separate group, I think, just to make things more streamlined. On April 21st, Beachbody has announced that they're opening like a second exclusive coach test group with Autumn starting April 28th for 21 Day Fix Extreme. I actually think they're opening it on like the 15th or the 21st. And that's just for coaches that enroll with Ultimate Portion Fix. So you can continue to invite your people to that. And I've been asked, is it okay if they do 21 Day Fix and still get in that second group? I think it's totally fine because obviously the more bigger point of the group is Ultimate Portion Fix.
I should give you a kiss.
Love you, bud. Not actually like 21 Day Fix or 21 Day Fix Extreme. So I think that you can continue to invite to it and obviously like sell the benefits of it being an exclusive coach test group with Autumn to the extent that people do want to dig in on nutrition. So that's pretty fun. And I know we've been seeing some amazing results so far in our current Health Bet group. I think it's probably one of the best groups we've ever had in terms of engagement. So hopefully we could duplicate that in another group on the 21st. And I would like to really kind of ask the ladies that are in our current group that want to continue on to maybe bring a friend in with them, because I think honestly this format has worked really well, and I've seen even like on posts I've made about it that some of our ladies have tagged other friends. So I feel like this would be a really cool way to kind of expand your reach with it too if you have current people in there. We have this Everyone Matters accountability group going on right now. It started last week, and it basically is just a business accountability group with the goal of helping one person a week. It's not like a tracking group. It's nothing crazy. It honestly is just a place where we're going to be adding value and asking actually coaches that have helped someone in the last month to share how they helped that person and what the story was and go live. And then we'll also be sharing some tips in there as we go, like just on, like I shared last night, I basically searched my old 3-day refresh posts and went back and talked to everyone that had commented on those posts, like little tips like that to help you. If you want to get in that group and you're not in there yet, feel free to complete the application that I put in the event last week and let me know you completed it, and I'll get you over in there. It's just a good way to kind of connect with some other leaders and other coaches as well and learn from what other people are doing. And I think sometimes having like the benefit of Krista's team and Morgan's team is really great because they do some different things than us. And one thing we're going to be doing as part of that group, and just if you want to invite to it, is this coming weekend we're going to do like a spring cleaning or a summer ready type info group. I know we just did the Ultimate Portion Fix info group, and so you might kind of feel a little burnout on that. But the cool thing about this upcoming group is we're going to be sharing about the 3-day refresh and the Ultimate Portion Fix, which is going to be really great because the 3-day refresh will actually go on sale on Monday. And so we're going to open the group on Friday and share throughout the weekend of like, here's our deals, and we're going to be giving away some prizes. We're not going to like be giving gift cards for each challenge pack sold. It's just going to be more like drawings. And what we'll do is kind of take like a pre-order for the 3-day refresh packages and standalone, because as you know, last time it sold out in a day that it went on sale. And we will kind of, play up the urgency of it in this group to make sure that if people want to do it like pre-Memorial Day or to roll into an Ultimate Portion Fix round 2, that they'll have the ability to snag it. Summit tickets were on sale through yesterday. I believe you could still get discounted rates each month. It's just that the prices will continuously increase. If you're enrolled to go, the Summit Selection Guide should be released on April 22nd. And that just means that you can pick, based on where you are in your business and what topics appeal to you, which presentations you'll go to. So that'll be really fun. And then you'll be able, I think, to go ahead and pick your workouts and stuff like that too. There's also a couple of parties that they are promoting right now. One is if you hit Success Club this month, and next month you'll get invited to a certain party at Summit. I think it's Success Club 10. The other is if you have one of the top 500 leadership points earned, and you have to be a Diamond coach to earn leadership points, but you could hit Diamond this month and go ahead and have leadership points. And work your way towards an invite to that group as well. So those are always really fun. They do bands and like special dinners and stuff like that. And it's kind of a way to celebrate you if you hit, other goals. Last thing is we're going to be doing another sneak peek into coaching along with Krista and Morgan as part of the Everyone Matters group. And just to kind of get more like stories in there on April 28th and 29th. And that's actually going to lead into a new coach boot camp. And Morgan did this thing last year called Fit to Coach Boot Camp, where she literally like recruited new coaches, put them in a challenge group, had them work on their own journey for the first week, and then start sharing their story to be able to like see, a reward in the first month or help someone in the first month. And that's going to be really the goal of the group. So it's going to be a very practical challenge group for new coaches. That's something that you can invite to if people don't want to do Ultimate Portion Fix or 21 Day Fix, 21 Day Fix Extreme, but they're like somebody that's on your dream team coaching list. This would be what I would invite them to. If not something sooner. So that's something exciting to look forward to, and I'll be sharing more as we go. So tonight, I wanted to talk about the power of sharing your story. So I feel like the few objections that I saw, or I guess I don't know, not complaints, if you will, but like areas that we want to work on. The other day in our team page, we're like being a little uncomfortable with reaching out to people and then posting on social media. And I honestly think the first part has to be the social media posting, because a lot of times it leads into actually inviting people to join you. If you're actually actively posting and people are responding, like those people responding to those posts are your people to invite. It makes things a lot easier on you when you sit down to do your power hour. If you have a post you could go back to, or if you have a story you can go back and look at and see who viewed it. And so sharing your story is super important. And you hear this term in Beachbody land a lot, and I think it can be overused some. Like, we all have a story. The point is, though, is that you're not just a Beachbody coach, right? Like there is a person that you are that has nothing to do with Beachbody, and it just so happens that you have Beachbody coaching as one of your things that you do. And the point of this is to lead with you, because you really want to connect with people that maybe have the same struggles that you used to have or still have, or maybe they have the same lifestyle, or maybe they live in the same area, but there is so much to you that's outside of this. So we think we're average a lot in this, but really we're just undervaluing what we've experienced and what we can share with others and the value we can give to others. Like I heard today on a call, as coaches, our biggest job really is just to be somebody's cheerleader, accountability partner. It's not to be the fittest, most fabulous person that there is out there. Like, we are the most fabulous version of ourselves, and we're working to get fit too. So sharing your story is really huge, and not seeing the value in it, obviously, is the biggest hurdle to get over. So a lot of us maybe don't realize how powerful certain things that have happened to us are, or maybe we don't value certain traits about ourselves that, really are very significant, or maybe we're so used to like our stories that we really don't see the value in them. But I guarantee there's going to be somebody else out there that needs to hear your voice, and they need to hear what you have to say. That's why a person that might be attracted to me wouldn't be the same person that would be attracted to Ashley or Lynn or Molly or Destiny. We all have differences, and we all have a unique voice that we can really lean in with someone else over. And I included this quote here from Rachel Hollis, and it says, "And if you go through something stronger, you become stronger in the process when you remember the power of me too. And when you see a sister and she is carrying baggage that you carried for years, now you are stronger, and you can say to her, 'Girl, I can help you carry that load because I know what it feels like to unpack that bag.'" I just got chills saying it out loud. But really what this means is that, you might not even necessarily give yourself credit for the amount of things that you've overcome. And then you might see somebody else who's where you used to be, and just being able to say to that person, like, "I've been there. I can totally understand. I can totally relate, and I can totally take your hand in this and help you," might be the most powerful thing that person needs to hear. So I just want you to kind of take note of that. Like everything that you've been through, everything that makes you you is very significant. So there's power in the whole you here. So you're not just a coach. This is just a part of who you are. That means that really every single post does not need to be about Beachbody, nor do you have to always try to sell something or invite to a group or invite to your team. In fact, we always kind of talk about this. I think, we don't use Beachbody in our posts really. I only use Beachbody in an income disclaimer because I have to per legal. I don't say I'm a Beachbody coach. I don't say I'm drinking Shakeology. I don't say I am doing 21 Day Fix Extreme really in anything. I just say I'm doing these programs from home, or I say I'm a wellness coach, or I am a lifestyle coach, because that's really more of what we are. It's us, but we just happen to be partnering with Beachbody to help people with their goals. The key is to tell the story, and we'll talk about that in another slide, like how you kind of like figure out what your story is. Our goal on social media is to help people know us, like us, and trust us. And to do that, we have to let people in on who we really are. We can't just sell stuff. That's why I love what we do, as opposed to like the person out there trying to sell the wrap, or the person out there trying to sell the skin cream. And they honestly only have a product. They don't have a person behind it. They don't have a service that they're giving. They really just have a product that they're trying to sell. And the whole you really is, it consists of what you like, what you're interested in, things about your family, what season of life you're in, what your style is, what your personality is, how you speak, your thoughts, your opinions, your values, literally everything that makes you you, everything that makes you uniquely you. And that is something that you will connect through your post with others. So the last thing I wanted to say here is, I think sometimes we over edit ourselves, and in real life, that's not what we would say. That's not what we would do. But because we typed it out or we've made a post around it, we feel like it has to be this like squeaky clean, very, I don't know, concise. I don't know. Like, me, I like to cuss a lot, like taking the cuss words out, whatever. Like, that's not who I am. So I have to be who I am in my post. So I can kind of like check myself sometimes saying like, it's taking me 30 minutes to edit a post. That post is not me anymore. That post is me over editing myself. So if I can't really come up with it quickly and put it out there and be confident in it, then it probably isn't really fully me. And I put in here, don't write in a way that makes you think like, what will my grandmother think about this? Or what will my best friend think about this? Because honestly, if you have to edit for someone else, it's not really your voice either. You are you for a reason. And I think that's very important to share. So there's an exercise, and I'm going to share this in the team page after the call. But this is called a color wheel. And it's basically just a way to kind of get you to think about some things that make you you. So your life and who you are is colorful. We have this document here. And I'll post it in the team page, and you can literally like take it into Canva, or you can put it into, I think, like Word Swag, and just put your words on it. But you can fill every color space with something about you, whether it be like a hobby, a character trait, who you are, what you enjoy, what makes you unique. And I'll break that down a little bit further for you too. But this will give you ideas of some things that you can talk about on social media to create an atmosphere of relatability in your story. And honestly, you guys, like when I kind of narrowed down what I was talking about, and I really focused on like 5 to 7 major things about me, I started seeing that I was connecting with people that were more like me than I had before. Like when I was trying to cast a wide net, I was reaching no one. When I was trying to be very specific, I was reaching those specific people. So this can be really powerful. And I think honestly, it can help you like figure out what your Instagram bio should say, or figure out what your Facebook bio should say, or even figure out, like maybe some topics that you want to run a challenge group around. Because if these things are like your things that make you you, there's going to be a huge audience of people out there that can relate to that as well. So here's some reasons why sharing your story is so important. I think really the biggest thing for us is it helps people know that they can trust us. That helps people like start to like us. It helps people see that we're consistent, and that, maybe we're more relatable than they thought we were. Like our after photos are the least relatable things we can ever share. Our before photos are going to be the most relatable things that we can share. Sharing our story gives us confidence, because a lot of times what you do is you put it out there and you might freak out and say, I can't believe I just shared that part of me. But then you'll have 5 to 10 people messaging you saying that described me. And that increases your confidence beyond anything else I've ever experienced. It can also be therapeutic. So Stacey talked about this recently, and I thought it was interesting. She says that she looks at her post like a journal, or like her blog, and I honestly do the same thing. And sometimes it's a good way to get frustrations off your chest, or like proud moments that you really want to share, but you want to share in a specific way. And it helps you kind of share your life, and maybe it gives you that therapy in the process. Also, sharing your story makes you more memorable. It helps captivate your audience, helps you be more relatable, and it creates that Me Too culture that I talked about from Rachel's quote. How you will be different from anyone else with the business online is because you are you. That is your superpower. You being you is the biggest superpower you can ever have. And honestly, not owning that is probably one of your biggest missed opportunities. So a big objection we see a lot with people not wanting to share on social media is, I don't want people to think I'm trying to sell to them. And honestly, sharing your story and those pieces of you is the best way you can ensure that you're not just selling. Like, you're being very relatable. You are talking about your struggles, or you're talking about something that maybe somebody else is going through. And you might say how this benefited you through that, but you're not leading with this. And then the last thing is, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So stories are important on social media, but also in person. So a lot of times on social media, we kind of feel like we are maybe being repetitive, or we don't want to say the same thing over and over. A lot of times, you guys, like with the way the algorithms work, you sharing your story like once a week in some piece or format is huge, because you're going to be getting new followers. You're going to be reaching people that your last post didn't reach. I think sharing it over and over again is a really important thing. And I also think it gives people hope. And then the other parts of this is having an elevator pitch. Like, if you see someone in person and they're like, girl, you look great, what have you been doing? And you're kind of stumbling over your words, or you don't really know what to say, or you're ashamed, like, oh, I've been doing this Beachbody thing, I don't want to talk about it. Like, that obviously is the first impression you're making on that person. And it could be somebody that you could end up having as your next rock star coach if you can approach it the right way. So I would encourage you to think a little bit about like how you tell people that you're a wellness coach, or you're a lifestyle coach, or you're a fitness and nutrition coach. Like, be proud of it. I remember for a long time I would be like, I'm an attorney, and I kind of do this like, Beachbody thing on the side, and I would leave it at that. And then people never really knew me, like now I'm like, well, I work from home, I negotiate contracts, and then I also help people with their health and fitness goals. And people are always more interested in health and fitness goals versus contracts. So be proud of it. I think it's honestly a huge gift that we have, and not really treating it that way is one of the biggest disservices that you can do to your business, because your first impression of that person will be exactly what they take away from it. Like, if you're pumped about it, they're like, man, maybe I want to do that with her. If you're trying to like say it under your breath, they're like, I guess that's an embarrassing thing to do. I don't know. So think about that, and think about like a way that you can present it, as part of your story, and show why it's such an important piece of you. Think about, whenever you're kind of thinking of these things, is why you started as a challenger, what you gained in the process of doing this, and why you are paying it forward with coaching. I know like my day one is the most relatable story that I have, because I encounter women all the time postpartum who feel a little lost, don't know what to do, and they don't really have time to go do all these like crazy classes and stuff like that. Like, that's a huge part of my story. It just honestly is way more relatable to people than I work from home now, and I get my workout in during the day. Like, people are like, oh, it must be nice, 10 a.m. you're just doing your workout while I'm sitting at my desk, So I try to go back to that piece as much as possible. Okay, how to share your story. And I just said this, think of who you're talking to. And a lot of times that's going to be who you were on your day one. Like, when that first, invite came in your inbox, or whenever you first reached out to your coach, or like if you're Ashley and you were a lead and you signed up, like, think about how you felt that day, and think about why you decided to go with this and why you've stuck with it, and make that as part of your story. Because I think honestly, that's going to be the majority of people you're reaching out to. Maybe you're burnt out in your job. Maybe you are, wanting some financial freedom. Maybe you have tried every diet under the sun and that didn't work for you. Like, that is the story of so many people out there. And the story that you have will change. Like, the me from 4 years ago certainly isn't the me now, although some of my needs are still the same. And I have to continuously go back to that, because people just, they think, oh, we've been doing this for 4 years. Clearly it must come easy to you now, So we have the color wheel, but also I wanted to put in here like 5 things that describe who you are. So this is a lot of times what you'll see in like your Instagram bio or your Facebook bio. And this goes into pre-Beachbody as well. So some examples are pregnant, dog mom, newly married, single, hobbies. You have some toddlers, you're a foodie, fashion, crafting, budget friendly, country music lover, teacher, introvert. Maybe you're a wine lover. Maybe you are, I just saw a coach on Fit and Fierce who now is doing like stand-up comedy. Like, I think that's really cool. Maybe like stand-up paddleboarding. Like, there's all, all these other things that make you, because you do want to like create a tribe of people that aren't just like, health and fitness crazy. Like, you want them to have other interests that you can talk about and that you can connect over. So coming up with that list of 5, doing the color wheel, and then coming up with a list of 5 are going to be kind of like the 2 takeaways from this. So think of your story in moments. You don't need to tell it all right off the bat in one post. I think that Jessica Jawrouse, or I can't remember her full name, talked about this maybe last week, but like, you share bits and pieces here and there, and you you can also create some curiosity with it to have, people kind of wanting to follow along for the next piece of it. It doesn't have to be word vomit all at once. It can just be like pieces of your life. And again, share repetitively, because honestly, people are not going to see it every single time. And the last thing is use quotes. So like, a lot of times if I feel totally uninspired on making a post, or I don't know what to say, I will, one, make sure I've done my personal development, because a lot of times the books I read have some sort of quote that like triggers exactly what I want to say, or something that really speaks to me. But another thing you could do is literally just go Google, like, don't give up, or, feeling defeated, or losing motivation, or, like however you feel that day. Honestly, you could go on Google or Pinterest and put it in and look up quotes that have that topic, because on Google you can actually pick quotes, and maybe you find a quote that really sparks what you want to say. And don't use the quote always. Like, using a quote is fine sometimes, but maybe you put it with your picture and you create a story based on that. Like, maybe that pulls something out of you that you are remembering as a result of finding that quote. That's just kind of like a go-to. I remember last year at Summit, I was like sitting in the seats on the field with all the ladies, and I had taken a picture, and I can't remember exactly what I Googled, but I was feeling like overwhelmed and really just, I don't know, one of those like pinch me moments. And I remember Googling a quote, and I found something that triggered exactly what I wanted to say, and I made a post about it. And one of the girls was sitting next to me, I don't know if it was Courtney or Stacy, and they're like, how'd you come up with that? And I'm like, I just Googled a quote, and it triggered what I wanted to say. And I think that's like a really easy exercise, and it honestly lets you kind of journal a little bit through your posts. So some ways to jog your memory on parts of your story: talk to new people. New conversations often lead you to telling new stories. Like when you meet somebody and you're asking them questions about themselves, maybe it reminds you of parts of you. Talk to those who you love and trust, like your parents or your siblings or your friends. And I'm not saying go fishing like, hey, I'm trying to come up with post ideas, but like take notes of these types of conversations and take those pieces of you away. Like maybe some things you forgot that family reminds you of, or that friends remind you of. A lot of times your family and friends will tell you things about you can't remember, or you don't know, or things that happened in your childhood. And it might trigger some things that you want to talk about and share because you feel like other people might relate. And then you can look at old pictures. You can go through Facebook memories now. Like I reuse a lot of my old posts these days. And I think sometimes I just change it up for where I am now. Like there are similar themes that just continuously come up when you're working on yourself constantly, right? And I feel like sometimes your old posts or the old words that you have to say are some of the best. And then you can keep a running list of stories or ideas to pull from on your phone. Like I keep a notepad, and if I have an old post I really like, I'll put them in there, or I'll send them to myself on Facebook Messenger. You could actually message yourself, and it's like an archive basically. And you can go in and copy and paste when you want to reuse again. I do that a lot because I think sometimes like I just, we get burnt out, or our days are crazy and we're like, oh man, I forgot to post. What am I going to say? And some of those days are the best days to pull. Where to share your story. Okay. So everywhere, I know that's pretty obvious, but always weave it into who you are, because you are amazing and you're who you are. I know one of the affirmations Ashley McClellan, who spoke on one of our calls last year, had was like, you are somebody's celebrity. And I thought that was so like, when you hear it, you're like, that seems a little big-headed, or I don't know, pretentious or whatever, but it's so true. Like somebody else is really looking forward to what you have to say constantly. So whenever you second guess yourself on a post, or whenever you get embarrassed, you're like, man, I've been posting too much lately. I should, maybe mute myself. Just think about the fact that somebody else out there probably is looking forward to what you have to say. And if you haven't been posting, start sharing that part of you, because I guarantee, like, Molly and I were talking about the other day, I'm like, you're funny, like share your humor constantly. Like that to me would make me want to follow you constantly. Like when she goes on her rants and her stories, I'm like, yeah, girl. But I just feel like sometimes we overthink it, or we feel like, oh, I've already done that or said that. But honestly, you guys, like, there are going to be new eyes every time. And so many people are going to miss it when you say it the second time. You can share it in person. Again, like I think when I worked in a law firm, I had so many people start asking me what I was doing there, and I had to kind of figure that part out. Or now when I'm like up at the playground and I meet neighbors, or when I go to like social events. And often I find that I'd rather talk about coaching than I would being an attorney, because I just feel like it's more interesting, or I'll find somebody that has like an interest in health and fitness, and we'll start talking about it. But I have to be confident in it, because I feel like I've learned so much through the process that I want to be able to share that with other people. And then on your social media feed, 3 times a week, I think this is really every day, like sharing a part of you is huge. I would say, obviously, you want 1 post in your feed each day, and then you want at least like 7 stories, they say, is like the magic number. And I think your story is going to get woven into that. Like your stories can't every day be a workout and pictures of your food. I'm really good at doing that, but I know I have to weave in like other parts of who I am. And then live video is always good too. I know we don't use that often enough. But I do think like once a week going live, the posting schedules I used to follow would say Wednesdays. And sharing parts of who you are is really big. It's a different way to connect with people. I think Instagram has Instagram TV now. I don't know why, but for some reason my app doesn't let me use it. So a lot of times I'll just talk in my stories about, maybe something that's going on. And then never stop sharing your story. So sometimes the story you need to tell is a story you used to tell. So I feel like sometimes we get to a better place in this and we kind of forget about the struggles that we went through to get there, but don't shy away from it. Like who you were when you started from this or started in this is exactly who you needed to be then, and who you are now is exactly who you need to be now. So sometimes we stop telling our stories because we've changed and we feel like, we've overcome some of those things and we don't want to go back and revisit it. However, potential challengers that we have or current challengers we have even sometimes need to hear it because they have the same struggles or needs. And then sometimes you could get tired of your story. Like I know a lot of times I get tired of my dad passed away and then I went through this really rough patch and then I did this and I did that. Cause I'm like, it's like dredging up stuff, or it makes me feel like I'm living in the past. I don't necessarily want to, but then I have to realize that like Ashley and I connected over both having lost parents at a young age. And I'm like, if I kind of just shut that away and didn't talk about it, like that point of connection for us wouldn't be there. And I feel like that is something that we can totally relate to one another on. And I think it made our friendship a little bit faster and easier too. So I feel like, making sure you kind of keep those things present and maybe don't lead with that as like your point of drama or like saying, this happened to me, feel sorry for me type thing. But I do think it's really important. Like I listened to Morgan talk about this topic with her team, and her thing was having an eating disorder. And it's like, you probably don't necessarily want to constantly revisit it because we all have triggers with stuff like that. But for her, she needs to share that to say like, there's hope to the person that maybe out there is struggling with it. So if you, have a few minutes after this call, maybe you can think about some things that like, maybe some old posts or maybe some things in your life that you used to connect with people about, or maybe, maybe you were in certain clubs in high school or things that you really liked, or maybe you volunteered with certain organizations because a cause really was important to you and you've kind of gotten away from it. Like it's kind of nice to revisit some of those things sometimes. So I've got this quick video here about biggest storytelling mistakes. I've never done this before, so I'm going to try to let it play. It's about 4 minutes, and then we will kind of wrap up the call in a minute.
Hi there, glad to be back. I hope you are too. Okay, so today I want to discuss the biggest storytelling mistake entrepreneurs make, and hopefully by watching this video, you can avoid it because this is a really expensive mistake, all right? First, as an entrepreneur, let's just say this. One of the great things about you is you are totally immersed in what you do, right? You eat, think, breathe, sleep your business. And while this is a huge strength, it can also pose a significant challenge because when the time comes for you to tell other people about what you do, you often focus because you're always focused on your product or the service that you provide or exactly how the whole thing works, when really that's not what people care about. What they care about, you know what I'm going to say, is your story. The problem is your story doesn't sound like a story to you. It just sounds like life. We undervalue the story and end up skipping it altogether. And this is a huge mistake. In fact, you've likely seen this phenomenon in action. Have you ever watched that smash hit television show, Shark Tank? I know it's one of my favorites. The show where entrepreneurs come in and pitch their business or their products to a room full of millionaire and billionaire shark investors. The entrepreneurs come in, they're so excited about the product they have to offer, and they create, they get so excited they actually create this startup crime. Perfect example. There was a young woman on one of the episodes who had created handmade baby moccasins. So she came in, she talked about the moccasins, how she acquired customers, whatever. They talked about how much it cost to make it, what the price was to sell it, yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't until she told the story of how her company started that the Sharks really became interested. It wasn't until she told them that in order to raise enough funds to start her company, she spent a summer breaking the glass out of aluminum window frames. And once the frames were cleared, she brought the aluminum to a scrapyard where they gave her $200. All right, she took that $200 to buy fabric for her first few moccasins. Now, an awesome story, first of all. And when the Sharks heard that story, that is when it became a feeding frenzy. Because, yeah, there are baby moccasins everywhere. Nobody actually cared about her baby moccasins. What they cared about was her story. Now, her moccasins are everywhere. Nordstrom's on my friend's baby's feet at preschool pickup. Now, here's the other thing. Even as I say this, I don't want you to fool yourself into thinking that this is all just an act for TV. In a recent interview with an investor in Tiny Prints and Hotwire, Pinterest, huge investor, said this is the number one storytelling mistake entrepreneurs make. Not telling the story. Those pitches that don't resonate, those are the ones that don't tell a story. When someone comes in and reads an analytic report or discusses the data pointing to this business decision, not only is it boring and puts people to sleep, but it leaves the investor to wonder if some other guy with a similar spreadsheet could create the same product or business. Basically, no story, no money. Make sense? Now, I want to give you a little break. I feel like I'm being hard on you. The truth is, this is an easy mistake to make, which is why it's so common. It's so easy to tell your story that it's super easy to forget to tell it. But you got to realize, by watching this video, if you overlook your story, you're going to be overlooked. So I encourage you, take a step back. If we met at an event where you saw me speak, go back through your notes and look for the stories that came to you when we were discussing this. If we met online, go back through the videos where I teach you which stories you need to be able to tell. Too often we think that people don't have time to listen to our story, when really it's that we don't take the time to tell it. You know, whether you're in the Shark Tank pitching to billionaire investors or have a sales meeting later today, do not overlook the power of your story. They want to hear it, and it is your job to tell it. Okay? It's always great spending time with you. If you know, even if I...
So this other story came to mind as I was watching this earlier, but there was a national wake-up call, and I can't remember which Beachbody guy it was, but he said he was on a flight like a week before, and the flight attendant came on and said, we're raising money for breast cancer awareness. If you could donate, that would be great. And I think from this whole flight of people, maybe they raised like $50. And that was obviously really disappointing. And I don't know what the conversation with the flight attendant was, but she then came back on after they calculated how much they had collected and said, you know, actually I'm a breast cancer survivor myself, and told her entire story about like going through treatment, how she overcame it, and why this organization meant what it meant to her, and then asked for donations again. And then after that, they collected like $1,000+ dollars. So that was really impactful to me to hear, because I thought, yeah, that makes sense. Like if I heard, you know, hey, we're just collecting money for this, I probably wouldn't be as inclined. But if I heard from the person, you know, like point blank, you know, like this is what happened to me, this is why this is important to me, I would pull out my wallet. Like no like thoughts about it, and I would be more inclined to donate, and I would probably donate more just because of that. So it is really powerful, and I think sometimes we feel awkward about doing that in the context of this because we think we're asking for money, we think we're asking for something, but ultimately you're providing a benefit to that person, and you're going to be like taking that person and really showing them that this could be their story too, or this is how they could overcome it too, and giving them hope. And I think that's the biggest thing about it, and that's why we should be more proud of it. So I wanted to just wrap up with some social media don'ts and do's. So don't use links to your products or post your website. Honestly, even on your like Instagram bio, people will never click on it. Linktree is great because it shares what groups you have coming up. Or you can have like a forum for work with me, but I wouldn't share like just website links. Don't copy and paste other people's posts. I know Ashley Shaw's groups are a little different, but I would say even with hers, like make sure you personalize it to you. Don't use hashtags on Facebook. Honestly, I don't care about that. I just copy and paste now. I don't think it really matters. Don't post stock photos. I think even if you post a quote, like making it your face is great. Or if you want to talk about Shakeology, like putting your face on there is great. It always has to be personal. Don't name the product or even like show the Shakeology cup. Honestly, like I kind of like to put mine in like a fancy cup with some chocolate chips on top if I'm going to talk about Shakeology. Don't hashtag Shakeology or program names. Don't use words that would trigger Facebook to think it's a post about a product, service, or business. That's technically against their like guidelines if you're on your personal page. And then some social media do's. Post at least once a day. More is better. It depends on which context. I'd say now like 2 might be a decent number. 3 could be a little bit much on Instagram, probably not on Facebook. Send friend requests and follow new people on Instagram based on parts of your story that make you you. Personal messages are more important than ever. It helps build relationships, and Facebook shows your post to the people you're talking with. So I would say, like, if you make a post that's really personal to you, like, I would then message that person that liked it and be like, hey, like, I really appreciate your support on that. That was kind of a scary thing for me to talk about. Like, is there something that you could relate to in it? Or, you know, I would maybe even just send a thank you message around it. I've done that in the past several times. Like when I shared something really scary, I'm like, that kind of scared me to talk about, but I really appreciate your support, and it helps me feel more comfortable sharing. And I've had good conversations start off of messages like that. I would use original pictures and videos, post before and after photos, poll people for their opinion. Like, you know, if there's parts of you or like weird inconsistencies or things that you have that you like or dislike, you could always make polls about it. Funny memes are great. Smile in your pictures and videos, like when you're talking about, like, even if it's the before and after, how you overcame something. Go live and share your story that way. Focus on engaging people in conversation rather than getting a sale or coach. So like the thank you messages that I was just talking about are a really good way to do it if they've like commented or liked that post that's about something really personal to you. And then think quality over quantity of posts for your pages, and engage on your comments, ask questions, show people you care about their comments, and it keeps their posts in your feed. So I kind of wanted to wrap up with just a quick challenge. I'm going to put this color wheel in our team page and challenge you to kind of take just a few minutes and come up with some of those things about you. The other thing I was thinking that could be kind of cool, and it's something that I've done in the past in posts, is to do like a before and after photo, but write a letter to your old self and talk about how you overcame whatever like struggle you had, and say like how proud you are of that person for getting you started for where you are now. I think this is it's not the normal way we make posts, but it's a very impactful and powerful way to make a post. And I think if it could help you share just a piece of who you are, maybe that you haven't necessarily felt comfortable to put out there, or that you want to connect with new people over, like, you know, Destiny, I'm just thinking of, like, if your first pregnancy wasn't as healthy, and then this is the healthy pregnancy, maybe you put a before photo of your last pregnancy in this one, and then you connect with new mamas that way, or new soon-to-be mamas that way, or if it's just part of your progress picture. But I think that would be kind of a cool Transformation Tuesday post idea if you guys want to work on that for tomorrow. So again, I'm still on the free Zoom, but I do it because I like it to keep us under 40 minutes. So we're about to get knocked off here, but if you guys have questions, I'll post this in the page, and I'm going to post the color wheel, and I want to see your posts tomorrow or Thursday. Those are good days to post before and afters. So thanks for coming tonight, y'all. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, girl. It was really good.
Oh, hey, there you are.
I was in here. I was only like, I was only 5 minutes late.
Oh, that's all right. You were messaging me, so I thought maybe you didn't come on. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks. Bye. You too.